Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to this video lecture series in which we are talking about neural networks and deep learning. So until in the last video lecture what we have studied is we have basically tried to remove all the for loops that we were being encountering in solving the logistic regression. Okay, so in this video also we are going to move over to this concept and we are basically going to vectorize the logistic regression only. And what we have seen this that until in the previous video we have only moved in the forward propagation steps, and in this video we are going to have a backward propagation. And what we are going to do, we are going to implement this over to the logistic regression that we have seen in the previous video lectures. Okay, so now let us continue over to this. So before studying or before removing these for loops using the vectorization techniques, what we need to do is we need to see some equations, some basic equations that we have studied in the previous video lectures in this series. Okay, so now let us consider this equation as dz equal to a1 minus y1. Okay, so this was the equation that we have previously seen in the quite a few video lectures, and this equation came out from the computation graph. Okay, basically we when we were finding the gradient using the computation graph, using the backward propagation steps, so we encountered this equation. Okay, and now suppose that if you want to vectorize this equation, then how you can vectorize this equation? Okay, um, I can see that this is quite a new equation for you in terms of vectorizing this equation. So you don't need to worry much about this. I'll tell you some easy steps so that you can easily vectorize this equation. Okay, so what we can write as dz equal to. Okay, so now what this dz will comprise of? This will comprise of a row vector that would comprise of a row vector. Okay, so I'll write a row vector for dz here, because this basically comprises of various training example, that is a1 minus y1, a2 minus y2, a3 minus y3, and that goes up to m training examples. So for dz also we will have z1, z2, z3, and that goes up to till to zm. Okay, so I'll write this here. It would be dz equal to dz1, dz2, dz3, and that will go on till dzm, because in overall we have m training example. So the dimension of this vector would be 1 cross m. Okay, this is very much clear to all of you who are watching this video lecture. And further we need to, what we need to do is we need to have some way in vectorized form in which we can represent this a and y. So how can we represent this a and y? Suppose I take a capital A. Now this capital A, what is the significance of this capital A? This has been clearly explained over to you in the previous video lecture. So if you are watching newly this video lecture, so firstly consider to watch the previous video lecture also. Okay, so it would be very much clear over to you that what is the significance of writing capital A here. So what this capital A was in the previous video lecture, it comprises of a row vector which contains a1, a2, a3, and that goes up to am. Okay, so the dimension of this vector would be 1 cross m dimension. Okay, and apart from this, what we need to do, we need to have a vector capital Y. Okay, because we need to represent this y also. So this is capital Y equal to, and this would also be represented in the form of a row vector as y1, y2, y3, and that goes up till ym. Okay, so this vector would also be 1 cross m dimension vector. And suppose that if I want these individual vectors to represent this equation, then how can we do this? We can do this as dz equal to capital A minus capital Y. Okay, so I'll put this equation in a box. Okay, so this is basically the vectorized representation in which we can perform this equation, okay, in which we can write this equation. Okay, so I see that this equation is quite very easy for you, and ultimately what the output of this equation will be, dz equal to, now, a minus y. So we'll subtract the individual elements from these two row vectors. So it would be a1 minus y1, a2 minus y2, and that goes on till am minus ym. Okay, so I think you have clearly understood the significance of writing this equation in the vectorized form. Okay, so now what we have several for loops, and while we have encountered several for loops while writing the logistic regression equation. Okay, let me draw some sections here. Okay, so what we have seen that we were when we were solving the non-vectorized version of the logistic regression equation, and if we have suppose m number of training examples, so what our equation was like, we have initially initialized dw equal to 0, and further what we have done is dw plus equal to x1 dz1, x1 dz1. Okay, and again what we have written is dw plus equal to x2 dz2, and that goes on till m. Okay, because we have m training example, and in the last what we have done is dw divide equal to m. So this was the step basically to find the average of all the m training examples. And for finding the value of b, what we have done is we have initialized b to 0. Okay, we have used a function np dot zeros. Okay, so we have initialized the value of vector b to zeros, and further what we have done is we were incrementing the value of this db, or assigning some values to db as db plus equal to dz1, db plus equal to dz2, and so on, and that goes up to m. Okay, dv plus equal to dzm, because there are m training example. And in the last what we have done is we were finding the average value of db as db divide equal to m. So this was the average value of db over all the m training examples. Okay, now what we can do here, if suppose I want to write all these equations in the vectorized form, then what I can do is I can write now the first thing I want to do is write the equation of db in the vectorized form, that is this equation in the vectorized form. So how can I do this? Let me change the color of my marker so that it would be quite easy for you to understand. Okay, now how can I write db? I will write db is equal to, I need to find the average value of db in the last, so I'll put 1 upon m over to here. And now inside this brackets, what I will write, I'll write these equations, okay, in vectorized form. So what can I write? Basically these equations are summations from I equal to 1 over to all the m training examples, and it is a summation of dz of I. Okay, because we have to ultimately add dz1 dz2, that goes up to dzm. Okay, so we are putting a summation from I equal to 1 that goes up to m training example, and overall in the last we are what we are doing, we are finding the average, and for that we are dividing this summation by m. Okay, so now if you want to implement this over in python using the numpy library, what you can do is you can write the code as db is equal to 1 upon m. Okay, and inside the bracket, instead of using the summation, we have the function in python as np.sum. Okay, and then you can write dz inside. Okay, so this is the vectorized implementation of how we can do this in Python programming language. And further, what you need to do, we need to convert this dw also in the vectorized form. So how we can convert this? We can do this as dw is equal to, that would also be counted as the average of all over the m training examples, is equal to x dz transpose. Okay, we need to do this because what we can write this as 1 upon m, and this would be x1, x2, that goes on till xm. Okay, and this would be multiplied with dz1, dz2, that goes up to dzm. Okay, so ultimately what would be the product of this? It would be dw equal to 1 upon m x1 dz1, x2 dz2, that goes up to xm dzm. Okay, so I think this much is very much clear to you. And what basically what are the dimensions of this row vector? The dimension, final dimension of this would be nx cross 1. Okay, so I hope this much has been clearly understood over to you, because before moving to the next slide, you basically need to understand these basic notations and the basic calculations that we have done over to here. Okay, so now in the next slide, what we are going to see, that we are going to implement this in the logistic regression. Okay, so what we can do for implementing this in the logistic regression is basically what we have done is basically we need to use the equation z equals to w transpose x plus b. And how we can do this? We can assign this as z equals to w transpose capital X plus b. Okay, and for implementing this we can use as z equal to np dot w dot t would find the transpose of w comma x plus b. We have already understood this equation of how to write this in vectorized form in the previous video lectures also. Further, if we find out the value of z, then we need to assign this value of z in the activation function a. So what we can write as the activation function a as capital A equal to sigma of z. And also we need to write dz equal to a minus y. This we have seen in the previous slide of this video lecture only. And then we need to write the value of dw as 1 upon m capital X dz transpose. So now we have got the value of dw, and now we need to write the value of db as 1 upon m. And then what we need to do is we need to write np dot sum dz. So this was basically the value of db that we have got. And now after making all these calculations, then what we need to do is basically we need to update our parameters. And what our parameters were, our parameters were w and b. So the update version would be w colon equal to w minus alpha dw, and b colon equal to b minus alpha dB. So these are basically the parameter update equation that we have written over here. Okay, so many of you may forget to update the parameters, but updating a parameter is a very crucial step. Okay, also one thing we can note here is that till now what we have written in this, we have tried to remove all the for loops. Okay, but we have tried to the utmost extent to remove all the for loops. But suppose that you want to iterate these steps over say 1000 times, so what you need to do is you need to apply a for loop here. Okay, at the top for I in range 1000 or something like that, any for loop. Okay, because you basically need to what you need to do is you need to iterate all these procedures over to say 1000 number of times. Okay, so in this case, if this type of problem encounters, then definitely you need to use for loop there, because there is no option rather than using for loop in this type of problem. Okay, so what I have already said to you, that you need to avoid for loops as far as possible. But if it is like it is not going to happen, or this coding this problem is not going to solve without using explicit for loop, then you can definitely use for loops there. Okay, our work is to reduce the use of for loops as far as possible. okay, but never to avoid the for loops. Okay, so this much in this video lecture. I hope this video lecture would have been very much informative to you. Thanks for watching my video lectures. I hope I explain over the concept to you in a very easy and simple way. And if your friends are working on this domain of neural networks and deep learning, then don't forget to share my video lectures with them also. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you could get a very quick updates about whenever I will upload a new video. Like my YouTube videos and share to them on the social media platform. Okay, thank you so much once again.